Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be concluding our Haibane Renmei series here with episodes 12 and 13, closing out the show. We're going to do that here today and yeah, pretty excited to finish up. Also sad, I'm sad that we're going to see, I guess, the back of Haibane Renmei, but them's the breaks, I guess. Yeah, I'm interested to see how we go. We've definitely got a setup, and I hope it's a happy ending rather than a sad ending. Even a bittersweet ending I'll take. I just don't... I want good things for Reki and Raka and stuff. I guess that's where I stand on the issue, without rambling too much before jumping into the YouTube comment, the solitary one here from Pencil Sharp, which is pretty short and to the point, and something that I most definitely missed. If I even thought about this for but a moment, I could have figured it out. But yeah, the librarian's comment there about the mysterious script and how it looks like hands. Maybe it's the hand signals that the Torga use to communicate with each other, that the communicator himself would also be aware of. Yes, this is most certainly where that's going. That is, yeah, bleedingly obvious now that it's been explained to me. That is the hand up accountability. I just missed that for sure. So yeah, now I'm foreseeing, like, okay, well, we've definitely set up Raka coming to understand this script a little bit, and it being important to the inside of the walls, which she's currently cleaning, and the text there being kind of similar, so potentially she could learn that language, learn the sign language of the Torga, and use that to read whatever's inside the wall. Potentially that gives some answers to whatever the hell's going on, which may give some clarity to Reki overall. So yeah, that's where I hope we go with all of that stuff, I guess. Yeah, thank you for commenting, of course. Yeah, let's just continue on that kind of wavelength, because the last thing we saw last episode was kind of Reki packing it away. So she's been painting. It's been implied that she's been painting whatever her dream may be, whatever she's trying to recall what happened before she was in the cocoon, what happened in that previous life. Upon understanding that, she can understand herself a little bit better, potentially find some solace, find some peace, and pass on. In turn, that will then help Nemu to pass on, Raka to pass on. Everyone's going to feel great, and they all go and see Ku, and they all sing Kumbaya together. That's where I hope we're going, right? But she took in a bunch of black paint. It's implied that she's giving up. Black paint means that she's going to paint black all over the picture that she's been painting, right? Again, it's this representation of being sin-bound. It's this representation of no hope. It's this representation of whatever I am now is what I'm going to be forever. So hopefully we can get her out of that kind of mindset, I guess, moving forward. And yeah, we'll watch the episode, but let's shout out the patrons. Well, let's shout them out first, shall we? So yeah, it's a bit of a moot point for Haibane Renmei, but for eventually whatever replaces Haibane Renmei, I'll talk about it. We'll see what I'll do next week. But whatever eventually replaces Haibane Renmei, you can be a patron and you will have double votes in said poll. Also, you'll get early access to both Monogatari and Flip Flappers for the foreseeable future. So yeah, many people have done this, up to and including Mickey Babbers, Trials++, Echomancer, Bobbin, Turbo Ribby, Dapper Dwarf, Domobot, Ichu, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Flo Nightingale, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Greybeard, Gus N, Heath, Ika, Yako Yavanen, Joran, Kelvin, Kimskell, Clem, Nosta, Cot Begemot, Lou, Mistako Chen, Nailu, Need, Parnik, Pencil Sharp 333, Ronlad BNK, St. Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Fueco, Without a Net, Zan Echo, Yuki Ali, Zach, Binchi, Hans Peter, Marsh, Voodoo Chili, and Aidan O'Brien. Thank you to all those people for, of course, supporting me and giving me money. Yeah, let's jump into episode 12 of Haibane Renmei. Of course, the Discord, if you wanted to discuss anything with me specifically, it's the best way to contact me, as I always say. You should like the video, and you should definitely subscribe. That would be awesome. And yeah, let's jump into episode 12 of Haibane Renmei. Hello, I am White, and welcome to Haibane Renmei episode 12. 24 minutes and 18 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. I think it's authored by Tesseract or Nya. I think that's what's going on there, I believe. So if you wanted to access that copy, you could. Very similar to the DVD copy that's out there already. Let's just give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. The sync there was a little bit off, but sure, we'll run with it. We'll make it all happen, I guess. A little bit loud in the headers. A little bit loud over here. Not really. Yeah, final session. I don't know what to think. Again, I've said before, I hope it's a happy ending. I think they deserve a happy ending. Especially, Reki is just a character that has struggled and nothing's really gone right. She's done everything right and hasn't got any kind of karmic reward for it, in my opinion. So, yeah, I hope, again, real life doesn't work like this, but fiction does. Good things should happen to good people. And I think Reki is good people, so I think good things should happen. Yeah, what else is that image on screen there if not hope? Right? Little flower blooming, little plant, little sapling. What's our title? Bellnut's Passing of the Year Festival and Reconciliation. Something about New Year's, maybe? I'm recording, which is always good as well. Reki has emerged from the darkness. Okay. Well, you always have nightmares. Is that the lighter? Oh, well, that's terrible. Okay, alright, sure, fine. That's, That's a metaphor for sure. A watched pot never boils, come on. Damn. She looks like she's like a mechanic. What is the Bell Nut Market? Okay. It's all involved in this New Year's thing. Now, I don't want to get on my high horse too early, but you know what New Year is a great metaphor for? Restarting, cleansing, all these things. New hope. Oh, sapling, seed, hope. Okay. Stop talking about thank you nuts. What is this? Largely concerning. Damn, she's tripping. I appreciate you, Reki. Oh, these two? Yeah. Great. Damn, Midori got swallowed by the crowd. Stop being Reki? Yeah? Anything? Nothing? Just in the past? In general? What does white mean? Hey, show me your halo. You've been... Yeah, no, it's still there. I mean, we said the end of winter. I like the music here. Oh shit. Yo! Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, I mean, that's probably worthy of an apology now that I'm seeing it. His blood is on your hands. Oh, the shadows. Let's go. This is metal as fuck. He got there. She literally apologized. Damn. Yeah? I know. Well, that's the type of person that she deserves. Whoa. Raka's gone crazy. Okay, what are we gonna do for Reki then? Oh. You're not particularly smart, so sure. Rules exist to be broken. Let's say that. Kana, please. uh. Believe in the Reki that believes in you? Oh, yeah. What would Kanamori do? Kanamori? No. Kunamori? It's one of them. That's tragic. There's something a little bit more hopeful about this episode overall. I'm starting to believe. Those fucking kids are here again. They're always fucking laughing, dude. Specifically, you do still hear Ku. Now, is that illusion? Pure illusion? Maybe. Gang signs? Okay, she's learning the language. The thing that the commenter said. It's true. What? This guy's shocked. Just figured it out. Okay. Oh, they like change names? Go on. Box. Involved nut. Finally. This is very Japanese. Do you? Damn, that seems pretty important in retrospect. Well, I can be her bird. I will be her crow. Please do. Okay, seems prophetic. Reki, small stone. Okay, bye. How about the hand signals? Can we figure out anything else from that, or... No, okay, we're just gonna drop it, sure. Damn, she ran all the way home. We're getting a little bit abstract here, and I don't mind that. It'll mean I'll need to put my thinking cap on. Damn, she's got the recipe memorized. I don't know what I would need to do for somebody for them to be a tremendous help. It's a crazy overstatement. Yeah, still acting like everything's normal. That's good. Yeah, when's that gonna be? You need to. Is there some kind of special connection? Okay. Depressing. Episode 2, I believe. That's very nice. Still eternally selfless, isn't she? Yeah, these clouds, huh? This isn't your typical New Year's celebration. It's a little bit more subdued. Maybe reflecting the mood of another character. Okay. I see. I'm curious. Wish I could read. Shut up. Stupid kid. Isn't that nice? That's nice too. Oh, baby got born. Shoutouts to baby. Sumika, I believe, is her name. Oh yeah, you two are fun. I liked that. How about Clock Dad? I liked that guy. He's cool. The humans were chill in this show. Oh yeah, the boots. Oh, metaphor. I get it. Oh yeah, the cafe owner. Yeah, that's nice. Clock Dad, finally, he's here. Big old tsundere Clock Dad. And, who's all alone by themselves? Etching the memories of their lives into something, or whatever she said. Just outside in the snow by yourself. Feeling good about life. How's Abandoned Factory doing? Let's check on that. Yes. Kids just running around. What is that? Roundhouse kick the kid. Nah, she's at the house. What's the significance? Okay, you have something planned. Okay, yeah, I'm reading. I'm picking up what you're putting down. What are you talking about? Ranka's a physical beast. Two-kilometer time trial in like 5 minutes 30. Yeah, throw a brick at her. That's not very dainty. I like that. Oh, look at this. Is it going to be look out to the sky? Is there going to be some fireworks or something? Whoa. I'm on the edge of my seat. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's go. It's the whole light and dark thing coming back, huh? Isn't that a nice symbolization of hope? I think so. Yeah, is yellow specifically important? Oh, okay. Is that what that color means? I see. Oh, I mean, that's yeah, okay. That hurts. Yeah, okay. Um, is Raki gonna be okay, chat? I need her to be okay. I'm listening. We're praying. I can hear the energy. That was gorgeous. I loved that last section. How good was that? Talk about balls. Talk about knowing that your shit's fucking good. Knowing that your shit's fire and just letting it, like, stand for itself. I have no idea what any of that meant, but it was fucking cool. It had me, it gripped me. How cool was that? Love shit like that. I'm still full of questions. Completely and totally, if I'm honest. And we're running out of time. There's one episode remaining. I mean, symbolically, this episode, and pretty literally, we're putting a hand around Reki. Specifically, Abandoned Factory, which we figure out in the episode is way more important to this whole Reki thing and Circle of Sin than other stuff in the past. Specifically, it's probably the thing that's trapping her in the Circle of Sin. And again, I see symbolically she's achieving absolution through the addition of another person, right? Like what they were talking about, through Hyoko and Midori, right? Those two people kind of brought her out of that circle in a way. I wonder if for good, or we need something with Raka, or what's going on. But I guess we'll figure it out in episode 13, which I'll bring up very, very shortly. And yeah, here we go. Episode 13 of Haibane Renmei up there ready to go. 25 minutes and 30 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. Should be very similar to the DVD version. And yeah, picture-in-picture, whatever I said, I don't know. I'm just going to hit play. So let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Clouds. Falling. Snow. Path. Could do that for days. Old home. Mm-hmm. That's great. Sleeping across 4 chairs. And here's Reki being selfless as ever. You gotta make sure everyone else is tucked in before you go to bed, right? Yeah, I mean, you're literally like saying goodbye. Look at that halo. They said by winter's end, but I guess they mean sooner. Hence why there's this, what would you say, desperation? It feels like time's running out more than it oughta, based on my understanding, but the show would know. They're the ones that are doing it. There's the opening. Yeah, hence, Midori knew last episode, hence the emotional reaction, right? And I think that relationship there between those two characters, I think a lot of that has been left unsaid in a way that I really like. We don't need an elaborate flashback showing the relationship between Midori and Reki, because I think it's just inferred, it's implied, and we get it. There was a closeness, there was a falling out, but ultimately they care about each other, right? Can we solve the case in time, chat? Dunno. Probably not. Probably? I don't know. Reki's World Prayer Epilogue. Okay, I like those things. Started very similarly to last episode. Yeah. That was an abrupt stop. I felt like my video fucked up there for a second. Light going behind the clouds. Darkness setting in. How's Reki doing? There's Reki's weird fucking cactus person. Weird wood block. There is no electricity. The lighter! Yo! Set up and payoff, chat. Looks like she's all packed up. She's not in any of her usual hiding spots. How about the painting room? Black paint. Oh, the shadow there's really cool. Yeah, the light and dark stuff here is very pronounced. What do we say? What do we say? What do we say? Looks like an abandoned wasteland. Not scary at all. Yeah, look at the halo. Okay. Cheery. Not even taking an opportunity right there in front of you. Oh, note. Mm-hmm. Oh. She got hit by a fucking car? That's pretty okay. I mean, what does that mean? Oh, okay. I mean, I mean, okay. Interesting. Hmm. I mean, I did. I did because I got to see the scene. No! Come back! Raka, you must remain strong. She's not doing it. Chat, did we lose? No, we're still going. Okay. Didn't really talk much. That was amazing. That was incredible. I want to just blab about it now, but I have another half of an episode to watch. What sound? What? Alright, now we're getting all crazy. It's pretty confronting. The sound? Save Raki? Here comes the train. Oh. The ghost of Christmas past. It's here to help. What is that? That's terrible. Okay. Fuck me. Yep. Cocoon. I can hear you. Well, get in there and save her, quick. The sound is approaching. I will become the crow. On the wings. It's peak. It's Kino. It's incredible. It's tremendous. Oh, that's great. Oh, look at this. I love how trippy we're getting this episode. This is all metaphor, and it's great. Let go of me, you freak. Well, she still needs to do that. It's ultimately her choice, right? Yeah, because she's the one that needs to make the choice here, right? Choose to be saved! Oh, go! Please! Yes! What? Okay, that was crazy looking. Alright, we won. That was great too. Quick! The goo train is here. Cinema. We did it. Okay, I thought there was good long stretches there where I didn't think we were going to make it. Is Raka okay? I'm going to be her bird? No, okay. Saved? Maybe saved? I don't think saved. Saved. Don't know, do you feel forgiven? Yeah. The one that broke was the... Okay. Is her time still running out, so to say? Indicating day of flight? Okay, bye. We'll meet again. With Ku. Specific wording there, freed herself. Think about what this means for Raka as well. Thoughts? Oh, now I want some. Oh! Oh! That's great. There'll be a new Cocoon soon. Yeah, she was quite the artist. Oh, and then that's like the very start. What are you laying out? Cord. Reliable senpai. Just like Ku would have wanted. Finally, Sprout. Hope. 2? Twins? What do you mean? Damn, she fell on her ass. She skipped a stair there. Settle down. Me neither, chat. It's like Ku and Reki. Do you get it? Yeah. I mean, that was good. That was really good. Clearly. Very good. Is that it? That's really it. Remember all that stuff I said about all these grand questions and if we're going to get answers? We didn't. Really. We didn't really at all. And that's fine. We don't need answers. Because they answered the most important kind of central question to all of this, which was Reki. We got the answers there, which were the most pertinent ones, I believe. And yeah, I'm generally satisfied with what they did there. I think the scene with Reki in that room, the painted room, is all very effective. I think that's extremely good. I felt a little bit like, all right, now let's wrap it up. I feel like the epilogue there is a little bit short. There is some choice lines in there, but again, I'm a sucker for a big old epilogue, so I would have liked that. Giving us a little bit more time to reflect. But I guess that's what this channel's for. That's the time to reflect, I guess, on what we saw. I don't even know how I'm going to begin to tackle half this stuff, but hopefully I can. I'll give it a go. I'm interested to see others' thoughts as well. So yeah, I'm just going to gather my thoughts quickly, and then we'll go from there and try to figure this damn thing out. Or at least what I thought of it. It's very much up to interpretation as well, so I'll return shortly for sure. And we're back. That was episodes 12 and 13 of Haibane Renmei. Conflicted is the wrong word. It's just not where I thought we would go. And that's fine. I think ultimately what we got was something ultimately compelling. Yeah. And something that... How do I put it into words? It left an impression on me, even if I can't put it into words entirely. It's thought-provoking. It's kind of spiritual in a way that I didn't really anticipate. And it's way more of a feel, don't think type thing, I believe, right? Ultimately, the best example of that is this last scene of episode 12. I really think, again, nothing is said about the glowing nature of the wall and all that kind of stuff and what it all meant and the passing of the new year and that kind of thing. That eventuated into nothing, ultimately, right? It's about what you take away from it and what that ultimately represents. We didn't get the secret of what the walls were about or who the Torga were or what was beyond the wall or any of this stuff, right? Because it's not needed. Ultimately, again, the focus there is Reki and the focus is her salvation. and the rest of everything else is just the set dressing for it. And again, in leaving those unanswered questions, I think ultimately makes a more powerful ending. I think it's better than the sum of its parts because of what they omit from the overall mystery. Again, my stupid logic brain likes to compartmentalize things like, hey, this is a question, it will have an answer. This is a blah blah, blah. This is Chekhov's gun, it will fire at some point. It likes to do that kind of stuff. That's just how brains work. We like checklists. We like that kind of stuff. And I think ultimately what Haibane Renmei does is present itself as less a puzzle that needs an answer and more a genuine piece of art where the reader's interpretation is more important than the actual order of events and so forth. In that way, it's a very mature show in that way. It attracts a certain kind of audience, and an audience that I would like to believe that I'm a part of. That being said, my analyses here may leave a little bit to be desired, because, again, I'm going to say what I think, I guess. Which I guess is what you guys come here for. I'm not going to have the best and most robust answer. I do not have the time nor the memory to go back through everything here and try to make it all make sense. I feel like this kind of show would be one that really kind of sings on a rewatch. And again, as always, I'm really interested in seeing people's thoughts ultimately about everything here. I want to read people's takes. And hopefully the reactions came out okay as well. I felt like I was very quiet, but that's fine. I don't need to yap constantly. I guess you guys knew I was engaged. I was trying to engage with the material. Just overall summary stuff as well. I like the choice there with Reki. Ultimately, again, Raka is there to save her, but Reki needs to save herself. She needs to... Again, it very much mirrors Raka's journey from the middle portion of the show as well, right? The bird was needed. There needed to be somebody to save her, right? But ultimately, she did save herself. The well is her own little circle of sin. Does that make sense? So the bird did assist in getting her out of there, but she also, she climbed out herself. She had assistance, of course, through the Torga, but she climbed out of there herself. She made her way out of the wood. She touched the wall on her own accord. All that stuff. That is what Reki is kind of mirroring here in the very end of episode 13, or the end of the show, really. Yeah, and I think that's beautiful. I like the revelations there around Reki. I like how cynically she looks at her own kindness on others, and it's something that I'll center a lot of discussion about. Like, again, if you think you're doing kindness for cynical reasons, you're still doing kindness, right? That is an internal perspective problem, one that she ultimately abolishes, right? One that ultimately shatters. But yeah, it's like whenever people go, okay, so say a celebrity is doing some charity for some reason, right? They're giving away money. People go, oh, well, that's just for publicity. That's just for this. That's just for that. Yeah, at least they're still doing charity. You're still doing a good thing, even if you internally or someone else externally sees the motivations as impure. I think, again, seeing things on a black and white scale like that and seeing good deeds done as a net good in society, regardless of motivation, is just a good thing. That's a personal belief that I hold. So again, seeing that ultimately be rewarded, and again, her heart was in the right place as well as revealed by the diary, but yeah, seeing that rewarded was good. I wanted Reki to be okay, and she was okay. We will meet again. There is also hope on the horizon. There is 2 new saplings, of course, one for Ku and one for Reki. And yeah, it seems like Raka's kind of superseded Reki's role in that regard and will be the kind of person that welcomes in the new kids. That'll be cool. That'll be awesome. Again, we'll never get to see it, but it's implied. And I choose to believe that they're going to have a great time together, I guess. Let's jump into this thing. I think that'll give us more stuff to jump off of. Again, I haven't even mentioned the bell nuts and the colors there, which is something that I'll try to address in some greater detail. Yeah, this episode title, Bell Nuts, Passing of the Year Festival and Reconciliation, ultimately that kind of connection between Midori and Reki there at the very end. And yeah, let's jump back through now. I've come to see this here ultimately as Reki's hallway. We've seen it a number of times. There's that kind of darkness on the edge and the kind of light there just beaming in. We'll see again this shot mirrored next episode. At the very start of the show, it felt like she was emerging from this darkness here out into the light. So there you go. So Reki's an interesting one to watch early here. Raka comes and gets her out of her room. Again, this mirrors Raka when she was in her little depressive episode as well. She needed people to get her from her room to come join everybody else. This feels like what's happening here, but Reki's in that place. We also have the lighter here, which she forgot. She left it on the table. But, yeah, she's showing telltale signs of somebody that's given up on life. You can have it. I don't need it anymore. I'm not a... What's the word? I'm not a going concern. I'll be leaving soon, so I don't need such things. Again, I also am not going to be smoking any more cigarettes because I no longer need to numb the pain. The pain will go away very soon. It'll have its own natural numbness when I pass on. Now again, the implication of the whole thing as well, right, is that if she was to remain here and wasn't ultimately saved and had her day of flight, she would have become a Haibane Renmei. Therefore, I don't know, she would have been a going concern, but she would have been very lonely. She would have had no mates. So, I don't know, she wouldn't have died per se, but kind of. Yeah, lots of similarities between Raka during her episode and Reki here. No longer concerned with outward appearances as much, is a little bit groggy, very pale, different costuming, and again, I'm not overly concerned. Why would we be concerned with putting on a good show when I know my life's going to end soon? Either way, we do get dressed and make our way to the Bell Nut Market. I would imagine this is a customary thing in Japan, or at least a facsimile of. We get various bell nuts and they have meanings and you give them as gifts during a New Year's festival. Sounds like fun? Cool. Let's go have a look at the bell nuts then. There's probably a better Japanese word for bell nut as well. Much like Haibane. I prefer Haibane to charcoal feathers. Are these all from the same kind of tree? Yep, I heard the colors are changed by mixing iron and verdigris into the soil. Verdigris? Oh my god. Also heard the word kusaria as well, which I now know what that means. Thank you, Apothecary Diaries. So again, these are charms, they're gifts, they have various colors, those colors have assigned meanings to them, and there's also a quality scale, I guess. You can have a good nut versus a not very good nut. Get your mind out of the gutter. The mirrors a good Haibane and a bad Haibane, I think, right? This good nut makes a good sound. The bad nut makes a bit more of a hollow sound, right? Again, if that's not a metaphor for each of the individual Haibane, then I don't know what is, right? Why does... Continually Reki's like, I ultimately feel hollow. My actions feel hollow, much like the sound resonating from the nut as well, I think. There's a moment here where Raka loses herself in kind of listening to the sound as well, which is a really fun cut. Again, the sound is particularly soothing to her, potentially a good nut versus a bad nut. So yeah, it's customary as a New Year's tradition to give these out to various people. Reki even mentions it here. There is a one that is designated as apology. That is the one which is again bought by you guys, or it's given by Reki to you guys, I think. We can read this as Reki trying to... Okay, this is probably the biggest bad move, I guess you could say, that Reki did through the entire show. Her reckless and selfish actions ultimately led to Hyoko being very, very hurt, and her needing to plead for forgiveness, and ultimately a justification for why she didn't get presented this crucial piece of information about her own circle of sin and that whole shebang, right? This is a crucial decision that you made that you got kind of judged for by the wall, so to say, and punished and so forth, right? Offering your apologies here is a big step on the road to redemption and reconciliation that we see during this episode. I love how sheepish everybody is during this scene. It really does feel quite awkward and makes again the kind of hug here at the very end of the episode feel quite satisfying. Without much ceremony here, Reki gives off this charm over to the other two and says, "I probably won't see you again. Goodbye." Bit cryptic. Bit scary. Keep an eye on Reki, something may be happening there, and ultimately prompts Raka to ask some more questions and learn some more information. I really feel like Hyoko is a bit of a himbo. He doesn't really think about things and just kind of goes along with it. He's not overburdened with intelligence, emotional nor otherwise, and just kind of saw girl, wanted to make girl happy, and then went and tried to climb wall. He didn't really realize the significance of all of it and just kind of wanted to be the guy for her. You also felt some amount of ownership over her, right? You're the one that found her in the rain all alone, describing her as like an abandoned cat. Of course you wanted to take somebody like that in. You could also read that as a black cat, right? Which is normally an ominous sign. Maybe, again, you should have read the signs there and saw that this was ultimately going to be a bad thing and lead to something bad happening for yourself personally. The black cat, it's never generally a good omen. What we see here as well is that Kuramori, I believe her name was, something like that, Kuramori went beyond the wall. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean she had her day of flight, or does this mean that she otherwise touched the wall and then died? She passed away from whatever their illness was, so to say. It's left unclear, I believe, but either way, it doesn't really matter. She left Reki, and Reki feels terrible about it and wants to go get redemption, wants to meet her again, wants to do all these things, ultimately leading to Hyoko doing what he does here and getting very, very hurt. So again, you can only imagine what Reki's feeling here, right? I've just experienced the death of my friend. I've felt like I was lost and abandoned. I've ran away from my support network. I found another different support network. It seems like things are going fine. I have this hope of getting out of whatever this system is. And then that ultimately leads to me almost killing him again, right? Like killing another person. Am I cursed? Am I cursed that whatever connections I make with people, that's ultimately going to end in something bad happening for them? Ultimately leading to her never letting anybody get really close ever again. Again, love the lighting cue here with the lightning, I should say, and the blood on her hands. It feels like she's stained. It feels like she's done this irreversible thing that she can't take back. Personally responsible for his death. Reported death at this moment. Again, something we don't really elaborate on in the show, but I think these two episodes really get across quite well, as well as the previous ones now that I think about it. The true mystical nature of the walls. We saw here at the very end, there was another strike of lightning, and this kind of piece that made the crack in the wall kind of comes flying off. Again, the lightning hits at the light coming off of it. It seems like it truly is supernatural, right? And again, I love that that isn't explained. The laughing and the kind of droplets on the water inside of the wall as well, not explained. Has this allure to it now. Again, as soon as you explain something, it loses that kind of sense, so to say. Some small character framing stuff as well. I love Midori facing that way and Hyoko facing the other, because they still disagree on this issue. Midori is still holding on to the fact that Reki was acting recklessly, and Hyoko kind of forgives her for that. And I like that final whisper from Hyoko there as well, that, yeah, you were the one closest to her, right? You're the one that was really torn up about this. So yeah, just that little reveal that you're being a little bit tsundere. Midori comments here that Reki isn't the type to ask for help, which again makes its way into the finale as well, but Raka still feels the need to interfere. That's kind of her thing. Hyoko feels very similar. Of course, he has to return the message of the good nut here, of course, of the charm. And yeah, that's ultimately what the fireworks are about during the climax of this episode. Again, Hyoko isn't allowed in the South District. How is he going to give his appreciation, his thanks on that day? He's going to have to use his head. And I like his the expression here. You could even possibly tie it to, remember the fireworks that were one of the first things we saw when we visited Abandoned Factory last week? Maybe that ties into it as well, potentially. That's cool. It feels like everybody already is under the pretense that Reki is running out of time. It feels like everybody's on the same page there. Nemu kind of suggests as such here, right? Ultimately, Reki's going to need to save herself in some respects, but again, Raka, you need to still be there for her. We pan back over to Reki, who is continually applying the medicine or the dye to her wings to keep that white appearance, not show her sinned boundness to everybody else, keep that hidden, keep that in the closet behind her and all that kind of stuff. She says here soon that she will be forgotten by everybody. The Haibane Renmei thing. She'll pass off and become one of them who isn't associated with anybody anymore, right? They'll all forget about me and everything will be good. I'll just be a stone. I can shut myself off from everything else. Again, it feels like Kuramori here is kind of judging her in some respects, right? Always, I look to her for inspiration. I want to shut her eyes. I want to, send her to rest the same way that I'm sending myself to rest, so to say. Everyone will forget about me. You can close your eyes now. You can stop looking over me, that kind of stuff. I want you to be at peace even in death. Again, it's not exactly a direct metaphor here, but I really do like it. Raka continues to do her day job whilst thinking about how to help Reki. She's collecting all the goo and that kind of stuff before she hears the laughing again. The laughing she hears when she's very close to this particular thing on the wall. I don't know, they have a name. And that laughing there is associated with Ku. That is Ku's laughter. And then we look at the kind of symbols there. If I'm close to this and I'm hearing Ku's laughter, does this mean that this says Ku, and Ku is almost trying to give me information metaphorically from beyond the grave? Maybe. I don't know. That would be cool. Either way, this is where she starts to figure out the hand signal thing as well. Figuring the hand signals there that she does means coup, right? I feel like she walks over to the communicator here and says something very similar to coup, which is like, how the fuck do you know that? And then, yeah, tell me how you figured it out. I felt Ku's presence by the tag that produces light leaves. And yeah, there's a little bit of a Japanese thing here where, again, it's less about ku, but the meaning behind it's ku not as in the proper noun, but ku is in the meaning of the word air, right? This is where we kind of learn about the dual nature of the names, right? So a name is a name, but there's also a second meaning behind the name, which is important. This will become crucial in episode 13, where we start to learn some more stuff about what Reki means and so forth. Learning the second name is a huge part of a Haibane becoming, I guess, what is the wording here? Haibane becoming, attaining their true identity. There we go. When the time comes, the name on the tag hanging from the wall is changed to the true name. This prompts the communicator guy to give Raka her true name. Hey, how about you figure this out, right? We created it using the tag on the wall as a template. This is what hers says, involved nut, which I'm guessing is another meaning for Raka, right? So Raka means what Raka meant, which is kind of falling or whatever she said. Anyway, it also means involved nut. So in that way, it relates her specifically to the good luck charms that are around New Year's and kind of resonates with her scene later on with Reki kind of talking her down, so to say. She is involved. She is overly involved, right? I wonder if there's potentially a better translation there that matches up a little bit more. It seems, again, very Japanese language-based. The nut also means like seedling as well. It's a little seed, right? I have that name because I shut myself off initially, but also because you sprouted here and connected with others, right? You were very bottled up, but you have sprouted out to each of the various members of Old Home and beyond, and have made a definite connection there. Therefore, instead of finding meaning in your own death and your name in your own death, you've found a new name and a new meaning in what you mean to everybody else around you during life and your connection to everybody else. That's pretty beautiful, right? So you have a pretty happy-go-lucky true name, but when Reki finds out her true name, there's nothing beyond that. She can't escape the kind of sin of her last life. That is her true name. She hasn't grown beyond that. She still hasn't escaped the shadow of that. And ultimately that name tag shattering, the name tag that suggests she got run over, ultimately upon that happening is when she can achieve her own personal salvation. I missed this during the episode for sure. So again, you have a new name that means something really good. Reki has still her old name, which resonates with the thing that happened when she died, right? Ultimately progressing beyond that and losing that name is how she frees herself. The implication here from the communicator as well, I believe, is that Reki will never truly understand all of this until she kind of gets over the whole Hyoko thing as well, right? So that is a crucial step to all of this, is that she still feels immensely guilty for what happened there and feels like she's done something irreversible, right? That she can't fix. And trapped herself in her own circle of sin as a result, right? As we learn here, you need somebody else to bring yourself out of that circle of sin, right? I'm seeing two ultimate sins here. We have the sin with Hyoko, which is solved by the end of episode 12, and then we have the ultimate sin, the original sin, which is solved by Raka and pulled out. You're the second party there that pulls her out by the end of episode 13. That's what I see here. I guess I should clarify one thing as well about the circle of sin. I guess I never really addressed it fully, but what I was getting at when this concept was first introduced is that, yeah, it is kind of self-defeating. I understand why Raka found solace in the concept, right? That as soon as you acknowledge your sin, you have no sin, right? But again, I neglected to mention the thing that I did understand, that, hey, upon that happening again, you're back to square one, thinking that you have no sin and therefore having sin, right? You know, it works both ways and you're eternally trapped in that circle. Again, Raka is brought out of that circle by both the communicator and the crow. Reki needs Raka to be that crow for her. The one who recognizes their own sin has no sin. You cannot help going in circles if you are alone. Therefore, we need to be there for Reki when the time arrives. I really like the sound effect here chosen, kind of the shake of the charm there, and that sound resonating as we think of Reki and needing to be there by Reki at her time of need. Again, if you are truly an involved nut, then that is something that you would do, right? Ultimately here we give to Raka Reki's true name as well, something to be given to her when the time arises. Again, just setting up that stuff for the finale. Oh, this is great. This is the lemon meringue thing that we give by the end of episode 13. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so you're already preparing something before the whole fireworks display. So that's really fun. You're still, it's not like you saw the fireworks and then made this as a returning gift, right? You were already making this, so to say. So yeah, it's kind of like they're both preparing this kind of yellow-based gift for each other, right? And we learn the meaning of yellow later in this episode as well. And even now we see Reki still ultimately being selfless, teaching how to bake as she's doing it and that kind of thing, right? We'll reframe a lot of this kind of stuff later on upon episode 13 and finding out what at least some part of her thinks about all of this, right? Reki mentions here that she's not going to go into town tonight to celebrate the festivities with everybody else. She's going to stay at home so I can etch the memories of my life here into my mind, which is about the most depressing metal thing I've ever heard in my life. You're going way too crazy. Raka here also mentions that Reki was one that helped her get her legs when she was first introduced here. Specifically, remember the scene in episode 2 where they're on the balcony, and that's what we're referencing here. I felt so kind of anxious and alone and I didn't know what was going on, and you were the one here helping me. That's definitely the vibe of those first few episodes, her finding her feet, often assisted by Reki, right? Reki retorts here by saying, oh, I'm appreciative of that, even if you do ultimately forget me. Again, I'll never forget you, but again, you may not have a choice in the matter, right? I may pass on and not be saved and that kind of stuff, right? So ultimately, again, what we preserve by the very end of episode 13 is the memory of Reki as well and what she represented, right? That isn't going to disappear, it isn't going to fade away. She finds eternity in somebody else's memory, which is quite beautiful. I like that as well. It's a pretty depressing old New Year's celebration as well. The sky is terrible looking and the fireworks are non-existent right here at this moment. It's pretty dour is the point. It's meant to reflect the mood of I guess Reki here at this time. To express the metaphor even more, there's a moment's silence upon New Year, and that's what we're kind of observing by the very end of the episode as well, that moment's silence. Okay, that's why we're so quiet as well. And what we do is we use the little shell things and the sound there to demonstrate our feelings without words. And then the sound of the bell changes at the very end. I don't know what you're talking about at all, but sure. This scene here and visiting everybody and showing our last congratulations serves as part epilogue and part comparison piece. So the epilogue part is just, hey, there's disparate characters in this show, let's go and talk to all of them and say our thank yous and that kind of thing, right? Thank you humans, thank you our parent human people for understanding us and guiding us through these troubling times, but also it's a comparison piece, right? What do all these humans have over, what did they do for us that Reki didn't also do for us? And Reki is all alone in her building by herself, right? It feels like she's been abandoned. Of course, it comes around by the very end of the episode, but yeah, we can do all these nice things for all these other people, but not for the sin-bound Reki. We can't, even despite her sacrifices, we can't appreciate them, right? It's harder to do so. I do like that the Sumika thing with the baby came full circle. Again, that kind of symbol of hope, as also represented by the saplings by the end of episode 13 as well. There is something else, something new on the horizon. New life. We have Hikari here with the bakers. We have the clothes guy with Raka. Specifically here, he suggested wearing the boots as well, which is something we linger on in this shot here in but a moment. Oh wait, no, before the wink, please. Look, boots. Yeah, you saw them briefly there. Yeah, look at that. Cool. We also thank the cafe owner, I think his name was. The guy that was hanging with Ku, right? Giving him off another piece of appreciation. Thank you for supporting me during that time after Ku's death as well. That scene was quite effective. I remember that too. My favorite guy here, of course, is Clock Dad. Thank you, Clock Dad. And yeah, we in a very tsundere way for Kana as well, we tie the charm to the back of his apron, the back of his belt here, as opposed to giving it to him, you know, directly, right? Much like how the Clock Man himself shows appreciation for Kana and her work when she's not around as well. They can't show their true feelings to each other, you know. It's all very sweet. And yeah, you know, we escape the town, we drift over to Old Home, we see all the food prepared, ready for when they come back, and Reki all alone by herself, not expecting to receive anything, facing her back away from the festivities, needs somebody to prompt her to look over in that direction eventually as well. Raka, in the meantime, makes her way over to Abandoned Factory to meet up with Midori, and we're going to put on a bit of a show. And again, because of your meddling, I now feel like reconciling with Reki somewhat, which leads to that lovely scene at the very end of the episode as well, and basically sets us up for our climax here. We have our own way of showing appreciation, which is different from the methods of you stuck-up ones, right? We don't use the charms or anything else. We're going to use fireworks, explosives. And the thing that brings tension to the scene here is that Abandoned Factory thought that Reki was just going to be in town and would have seen the fireworks regardless. If she's in her house, she may not see them and she may not understand the message. Therefore, we need to rush over to Old Home and let her know. Oh yeah, this here is fantastic on the rewatch as well. So we make our way to Old Home, right on time, right? We'll never get up to her room to let her know on time, so instead we make a sound resonate through the piping of Old Home itself, right? Much like the sound and the echo that exists within the charms that we've been describing this episode, within the nuts. So yeah, it's great. And she, again, her name is Involved Nut. Again, there's probably a better translation there. This is what she can do. She can make these sounds and make these resonations, these good luck sounds, as a good Haibane, as a good nut, all these things, to bring calming, to bring soothingness, to bring... Again, it's a microcosm of what she does in episode 13 as well. She brings that kind of stuff with her to Reki. That is her role here. Again, I'm not sure I'm making sense there, but it makes sense to me, and that's all that matters. Either way, direct your attention towards Abandoned Factory, because there is something going on. It strikes midnight, and there go the fireworks. Very cool. And yeah, this kind of shot of... VLC. This kind of shot of Reki here and the light appearing on her face, pretty obvious one, but I do still enjoy it quite a bit. When the music comes in as well, a lovely little dainty tune, and yeah, this is the message from me and Hyoko for yourself. Now, the specific nature of this kind of message comes in the color, which we'll describe here. Yellow means you've been stupid. That's what it means, right? So again, basically you've been forgiven, but in the way that Hyoko would phrase it. That's kind of funny, right? And again, associating colors with meanings is what we're doing all through this episode with the little charms. So this is their own way of expressing that similar thing, right? Makes a sound as well. It's very similar in that regard. As opposed to the little seedling, we instead have a big explosion, much more applicable to Abandoned Factory as opposed to here. Again, at that same time, you look at your own personal charm, and then think about the meaning behind that color. Goodbye and thank you. Now, goodbye means I'm going away. You must know what that means. Her time is running out. Therefore, I'm not going to get a chance again to talk to her on some level and address all the baggage we have, I guess. Again, Reki comes down to give her some, I guess, consolations or whatever. What do you call it? Consoling her? You know what I mean? And yeah, they're just, it all erupts from there. This is all very beautiful. Yeah, very, very effective scene during the reaction. I really liked it. Everyone returns and Raka directs them away. We're not going to spoil this moment for those two over that way as well. Instead, we're going to walk out towards this section and then listen to the bell stop. And what happens at the very end? What happens when the bell stops during the passing of the new year? The walls return the thoughts they've been receiving from everyone over the past year up to the sky. Again, it gives this really spiritual edge to the wall and what they're doing. This really mystical thing that is going on that I had no clue about, right? Everyone else here is solemnly praying by themselves and we get to see the splendor itself, What I really like here is the kind of droplets on the water and the kind of reverberations outwards, something that we've seen internally on the walls, expressed now in Raka's own personal thoughts. And yeah, the soundtrack's killer here. Love the shots, love the lack of dialogue, just kind of letting the moment sit as we see the wall from every direction light up. Now, what does this all mean? Because we don't really address the wall again, right? So I might as well get all my thoughts out here. You must respect the wall. You cannot surpass the wall. You cannot climb over it. You'll climb over it when you're good and ready and when you've passed the test and all that kind of stuff, right? Before and after that, do what you're told. But again, the wall does respond eventually. It responds to people being good and doing the right thing and doing the right process and is listening, I would say, right? I do care for you. I do keep you trapped. I do keep you enclosed. Again, Reki wants to break out of these barriers by herself, but she can't. In that way, is this also a representation of that circle of sin, so to say, as well? You cannot find your way out by yourself, but with the help of others. That also represents Day of Flight as well, too. much like the well itself too, which we talked about. Again, it's just like this is the macro of the well's micro, I would say. Yeah, it just, the wall isn't evil. It isn't like a malevolent force trying to keep us kind of encaged, right? It's not a bad thing ultimately. It's just a fact of life, and is listening and is trying to help you sometimes too, and can result in moments like this, moments of majesty. Yeah, really interesting interpretation right there at the end. It's a fact of life. There's no good or bad associated with it. Again, much like the stars in the sky as we pan up during the final shot of this episode, right? Much like the sky and the night and the stars and everything else, a fact of life, right? Something which, again, even humans are trapped in their own circle of sin, that being the world. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. No, but again, there's quite a few. I really like this ending of this episode for how many interpretations you could make on it. I really am curious to see other people's takes. I really do want to hear them. And yeah, now onto the big one. We'll close out here with episode 13. Love the setup here of episode 13. The New Year's celebrations are done. It's well into the early morning. Everybody is now asleep. There's this quiet stillness to everything, and this is when Reki makes her move. Final light there goes out in the building too, if VLC wants to behave. The party's done, the drinks are open, the champagne is spread, the cake is melted, the snow is set, and there's only one person moving in the night. Also shoutouts to the sleeping arrangement too. That is Reki, still making selfless moves even during her final hours, still pulling the blankets up over the young ones, making sure that they have a good night's sleep, prioritizing them over the night of her death, essentially. Again, this is why I can't believe Reki, during the scene where she's like, I did all of this from a selfish point of view. I'm doing all of this as a self-motivated thing to try to prove myself as pure, right? Which makes those actions in of itself impure, right? Same logic as the circle of sin. Very Monogatari now that I think about it. What's that old adage from it? If I feel like I'm a bad person trying to do good things, that is inherently valuable, as opposed to a good person that does good things or an evil person that does evil things, right? Bucking the trend there is value within that, and I think Reki would do well to learn from that kind of lesson as well. This kind of forlorn look, this melancholic look as she says goodbye to everybody. Unbeknownst to her, Raka is still kind of awake and follows her to her room. Raka makes her way to Reki's room and the clouds cover the moon. The darkness is setting in, much like the dark room which Reki traps herself within. Now again, I'm not going to break anybody's mind by saying that Reki's room is... what's the word? It's a metaphor for her. Much like any character's room in any show essentially is a metaphor for them. That's just how it works. We have, on the outward side, we have a few things, right, that are there that generally express her personality and so forth, right? But a lot of it's boxed up. A lot of it's kind of misshapen. It's like a storeroom, that kind of thing, right? It's more function than any other personality. She keeps all of that personality stuff, all that dark center, off to the side, somewhere where somebody else can't get in, right? She specifically shoos Raka away from it in an earlier scene during the show. I don't want you to see this innermost part of myself. I don't want to let you in like this. And again, is kind of, what's the word? It's amused. Amused when Raka finally makes her way inside. You were yourself to the very end, weren't you, Raka, right? You found this. You found my dark center. Even the light switch here, it's very on the nose, but it does not work. There is no light here currently. You're going to have to bring the light yourself. Even in a very cool way, using the lighter which Reki gave to her as the light here in this room. Again, that light that represented the cigarettes, maybe giving her some temporary relief, much like those cigarettes did to her as well, right? I'm going to breathe this temporary light, this fleeting light for you in this time, because there is no persistent light. There's no perpetual light for me personally. Raka makes her way inside Reki's dark room here, and the kind of wind of it snuffs out the light immediately, right? There is no light, no temporary fleeting light even allowed in this room. She reignites the lighter, and that small amount of light is enough to see, I guess, the representation of her day of death, so to say. This is what it looked like when she died during the previous life. This is her... what is the word here? Cocoon dream? She's standing in the corner all creepy-like as well. I didn't like that. It was quite scary. But the significance here is the kind of slats which the light can't get through, right? It's much like the room where she was born, very similar in that regard, I would say, where there's only a skerrick of light even let in, right? Nobody could see in, nobody could save me. It's almost like I've been cursed to this darkness from the day of my birth to the day of my death, right? Again, Reki is amused that Raka is Raka to the very end and made her way in here, and she starts to describe her cocoon dream, right? I was walking this path, I remember cold winds stinging my cheeks wet from the tears, which is quite evocative, I like that line. I heard a sound far away, but I was too tired to think. I wanted to become a stone. A simple stone that doesn't feel pain or sorrow, right? And upon that, we open up the window. There is a skerrick of light left in, and we no longer have to have that lighter on. Now, the simple stone stuff is very important, right? I wanted to become a stone. That was one of the things I thought during my death. Ultimately, my wish was granted, but it was like a monkey's paw, you know? The wish was granted in so much as, yeah, it did what I said, but I didn't want it to happen the way it happened. Again, my emotions are hurting me so much at this time. I wish to have no emotion. I wish to be closed off from everybody. That is almost a curse that has been manifested into this life, even up to and including your name. And she's completely right. She doesn't want to open the box now because she doesn't believe there's going to be salvation in there, right? There isn't going to be a hopeful kind of ending the same way that Raka's name has a hopeful ending to it. There's nothing in there for me. I'm cursed. It's always going to be bad. Don't look any deeper. It's always worse, right? That's everything she's been conditioned to know during her entire life here as a Haibane, right? And yeah, she's right. The meaning in her name is as far as the cause of her death, right? That is all the meaning that she has. There's nothing further beyond that like Raka's name. It's you know... This is eternally crushing now that I think about it. So yeah, she opens up the box here and starts to read a little message that has been left for her. This is a story about a girl named Reki. She was doomed by an unfortunate fate and even lost the people that she could share that sorrow with. Feeling herself worthless, she called herself Reki, using the letters which meant small stone. However, the letter that expresses her true name means... And yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, what's the meaning here? What's the exact wording? To be run over. Okay, that's awesome. Like roadkill. Again, the implication here is that her death was, you know, she was either too tired or didn't care enough. She essentially got hit by a train on purpose. That's what I think. It's a suicide attempt, much like Raka's death is implied to be, right? Implied to be jumped off somewhere pretty high as a suicide attempt as well. So... another thing that unites Raka and Reki, but ultimately very depressing, right? And we say there in the dialogue, Reki didn't have anybody to share in this sorrow with, unlike Raka, who had the crow, right? The crow which represented a parental figure as we went through, right? Reki didn't have anybody in that previous life that cared about her to the level that the crow cared about Raka, right? And that's what she's envious of. That's part of it, right? That again, you were able to find salvation through the help of another. And that's what makes this ending ultimately beautiful. Raka is able to be that salvation for her, able to be that friend. Even Kuramori from Beyond the Grave as well helps in this regard. There's kind of that scene where the sheet is kind of pulled off of the painting, right? It's like this is the final push, right? Beyond the grave, this kind of spiritual energy to help, I guess, absolve Reki, right? So now this causes Reki to like crash out like crazy, which is no good. Like I would too, right? This is like the final piece of hope that I've been holding on to, which it just shatters her. The dye that she put on her wings that day, the medicine, it immediately fades and her wings grow to be black. I was run over and torn apart. She was always talking about a path. The path wasn't a path, it was an iron rail. This is where I abandoned myself, Raka. And I always thought that, you know, my good deeds would be rewarded, that someday I would be able to shed off this sense of guilt. But now it's the 11th hour, it's the final time that I would have a chance to do this, and I'm met with yet again more disappointment. Oh, and this is great too. So we saw at the end of episode 12 my interpretations of the wall here. She's seeing the more dour interpretation, that they're trapping me, that they signify my death. This is my purgatory, this is my eternal prison, right? Where again, no, I feel like the walls are a little bit more universal than that. You may project onto them this sense of being trapped, but that is all you internally, and ultimately you get freed from that by the very end of the episode. This line as well, this room itself is also my cocoon. The lighting's very similar to the cocoon scene that she had, and yeah, remember her initial cocoon, all alone, born all alone, didn't have somebody with her, all these other things, right? I've been trapped since I've been in the cocoon. I just made my way into an even bigger cocoon. I made my way into a place that is kind of surrounded by walls that I cannot escape from. I'm still in that spot, all by myself in my cocoon. This whole time, 7 long years trapped in this dark dream, I kept looking for salvation which didn't even exist to begin with. My whole life is a joke. And yeah, we get some flashbacks here of, again, various points during her life. We see here her crashing out after the death of Kuromori as well, throwing the glass against the wall. This kind of split off from Nemu, and then finding Hyoko, or Hyoko finding her, I should say. Even the yellow here, is this where the yellow comes from? Is that even yellow? I'm colorblind, shut up. Yeah, the whole story is told out here. Hyoko taking Reki over to the wall, and they're going to climb it, and then it ends in disaster, of course. This same image from episode 12, kind of pleading with the communicator to help and absolve her and this kind of stuff. The stone thrown by Midori at her. Never come back, don't come back. The blood from the temple here. It's almost biblical, like a stoning. That's crazy. Again, my whole life, 7 long years, every single crushing experience I have is being kind of relived here, right? This is my lot in life. This is my destiny. Every time I trusted somebody, I ended up betrayed. So at some point, I stopped trusting everybody. So that I wouldn't have to get hurt, I became a stone. Now again, that's very significant considering the stone that was thrown at her just here. I shut myself off from everybody else. I engaged in everyday small talk. We kind of addressed this earlier in the show as well. Reki, it may seem like she's having a conversation with you, but you're not getting to her true center. She's shutting everybody else off. Like a stone, right? She's hard to get through, much like the walls themselves as well. Through this trial, I ended up accomplishing the thing that I thought when I was on the railroad tracks all that time ago. I did become a stone. I did become unfeeling. I became the thing that I wished to be in the worst way. Ironic, isn't it? And if I close my heart and just be nice to everybody, I'm a good Haibane. But they just don't know the inner me. I haven't introduced them to this room. I haven't brought them in here, right? They don't know how dark and impure my heart truly is. And then Raka tries to engage Raka mode, where she's like, no, you're actually really nice. You were always kind to me and that kind of thing. And this is where Reki kind of breaks her. You know that was all performative, right? Like, I was doing that in the hopes of being proven as a good Haibane and achieving salvation. There wasn't any of myself or the selflessness that comes in acting this way inside of it, right? I'm not actually personifying good because my actions are ultimately selfish. I'm also sinful because I was jealous of you. I was envious of you the entire time. Again, I think part of this is the truth. Part of this is how she felt, right? But also part of it is the kind of the thing that we heard in this sequence that Raka remembers later on. Before the cocoon had hatched, those words, the final bit of hope that she put into Raka finally being kind of mirrored back at her. I think that is also a part of her personality, because remember, people are complex. They're not one thing or the other, they're both, right? I can feel one thing in one portion of my personality and another in another, right? Again, I feel like you're not looking on the bright side of life. Which is fair enough. Raka continually responds, no, but you still did all these nice things, and that's right, and why do you think why I did that? I was looking for salvation. I thought maybe someday God would forgive me because of my actions here. That's the only reason I did it. Raka, to me, it didn't have to be you. Now, this is the crushing line, right? I never acknowledged you as a person. You were only a stepping stone to something else. That is what this means, right? Again, what she describes here as well. When I found your cocoon, I made a bet. I thought that, hey, if I can trick this Haibane into liking me, maybe I'll achieve salvation. It didn't matter who was born. You were just the manifestation of that final hope. Nothing about your personality personally or anything other than, anything about the connection we've actually made as humans, right? It was only your status. It was only your status as the last born in the cocoon. And then, it tells her to get out. I tricked you, I fooled you, and you still couldn't save me, so shows what a fool I am as well, right? Yeah, really, really well executed final scene here. Really like these cuts here specifically, these kind of final looks between the two, the tears welling in the eyes, the dark center of the eyes there as well. But again, the eyes are very similar too. Look at Raka's eyes, right, compared to Reki's. They're still similar. They're ultimately very similar characters. And again, she isn't wrong. She didn't not make a bet about this. She's just framing it in the most uncharitable way possible, as a last-ditch effort to push her away and not be saved, right? She's still reluctant to be saved even now, right? This is still ultimately a selfless action that she's doing. You don't need to save me. I'm okay with being doomed forever. I'm okay with no salvation. She's lashing out a little bit, but yeah, she's complex, And yeah, after all of that, Raka leaves the room and Reki is left all alone.
with herself, with her own thoughts. When that sound gets here, I'll vanish, right? Again, this is a manifestation of her own thoughts here. We're getting pretty abstract with this kind of stuff now. There isn't actually a second Reki shock horror. I really like the costuming here. This costuming is very similar to the costuming that they wear when they come out of the cocoon for the first time. Again, it's like the Reki at the beginning of the timeline, the beginning of the 7 years is here with the Reki at the very end. Nothing has changed despite all my actions. We're still one and the same person, you know? Again, this initial purity of the costume, the all-white, that angelic look, right? The lack of halo, the lack of wings, the very start of everything, right? And yeah, there was hope at this time, but quickly that kind of darkness spreads, and even this representation of my early hope, right, fades away. You're so afraid of trusting somebody that this old innocent you fades away. This you that also reminds you of Raka as well, right? Again, this innocent version of you pleading with yourself to potentially open yourself up to being saved, to ask for salvation, right? And then the older, more cynical version arguing back. No matter how much I wished for it, no salvation has ever come. It's crushing to ask for help. What if nobody answers, right? Of course you were afraid, right? Every single time you've had even a skerrick of hope, the entire time you've been at old home, like, think about it. Kuramori, who was your one light in your life, she died. We have Hyoko trying to climb the wall. That ended up with him getting very hurt and severing my communication with Abandoned Factory, right? And now with Raka and learning my name and that kind of thing. Every single time I've had any kind of hope, I've gotten the wrong answer. So how can I bear to ask a question yet again when all available evidence points to me getting the answer that I don't want, that nobody actually cares about me? Again, all of this is building up to the wonderful conclusion when, hey, somebody does answer and you are saved, right? Somebody did genuinely care about you. Your actions did end up with, you know, some good happening in the world. They did care. Again, still grasping onto that old version of yourself as it fades away is tragic. Tragic, tragic, tragic as well. And here comes the sound, here comes the train. I'm going to die once over, all over again. Everyone's going to forget about me and I'm going to be doomed to a purgatory of loneliness. Hand back over to Raka. I wish I didn't know anything so I could continue to love Reki. Now I know the truth, now I know the darkness within her heart. I'm a little bit jaded. But again, it takes an interaction, again, potentially with a ghost, right here, this ghost, to prove otherwise. Looks Kuramori in the eyes. I want to believe in Reki, and then notices the diary down below, right? Now this, again, over in that room is also a diary. This is also a physical diary. They all represent Reki, right? Reki's just being uncharitable about herself because, you know, she wants Raka to get out and she wants to exist by herself and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, this line here is killer to begin with. Kuramori, I'm sorry, I wasn't forgiven, which is terrible. That's awful. And yeah, we go back through the show, you know, there's like the bells ringing and the snowmen and all that kind of stuff, right? And then she remembers the cocoon, right? I found a cocoon myself for the first time. I'm so happy, so happy. This must be something special. God sent it to me. Still have that faith, right? You still definitely do. I will be very kind to the newborn. I will always be with her. This time I will be a good Haibane like Kuramori. Now again, this is more akin to the truth, I believe, right? Or not the truth. Again, both are simultaneously correct. She's just being extremely cynical about her own actions in the previous kind of retelling. But I do like the framing here. Learning this piece of information is like the eureka moment that she experienced with the crow as well, when she learnt about her own death. This is very similar. She remembers something that she shouldn't have remembered or forgot for various reasons or that kind of thing, right? Can you hear me? My name is Reki. It's the first time for me to find a cocoon. I'm so very happy and excited. A Haibane inevitably loses their name and their past, so in the beginning you may feel lonely and apprehensive, but I will always be by your side. I will always protect you no matter what. So let me trust my last hope with you, and that last hope comes to fruition here as this is the final push that gets Raka to re-enter the room. And yeah, as symbolized, Raka will now take on the persona of the crow. I will be the crow, I will be the bird that saves Reki, right? Like this explicit focus on the shadow of the wings here, she even embraces her identity as a true Haibane here, as represented by the wings, right? There was a time when this brought me great turmoil. Now it does not, right? Now I find strength in this. I'm going to personify everything a Haibane means and save my friend. But yeah, now we're in her kind of mind palace and the train is coming, right? I like how freaky this is. It's like we're existing within the painting. I even like, again, it's a fidelity issue, but I like how blurry it is. I think it adds a lot to the scene. We see Reki lying unconscious on the train tracks. We go to save her, but the old Reki, right, still holds us back. Reki can't hear you anymore over the sound of the train, right? She's made her decision. She chose to vanish here. Ultimately, it lands on her. She needs to make the decision to be saved and to ask for help, right? She needs to acknowledge that she can't do it all on her own. She needs to acknowledge, finally again, that she does need friends, that she does need to open up, that she can be vulnerable around other people despite what has happened in the past. It's a very beautiful scene, right? Again, she's made her decision. I'm on your side, right? I want you to help her, but she needs to make that decision. She needs to regain this innocence in a way as well. And yeah, right here at this moment, she calls Raka and then asks for to be saved. At this moment, the old visage of her shatters, the whole illusion shatters in a way, and we get to push her out of the way of the incoming train. Very important symbolically as well, this is when that name shatters, right? So again, this is the name that represented like Reki meant to be run over. That's what that name represented. This is when it grew a new meaning, when it actually became Small Stone, when almost the fake became the real in a way, if we wanted to continue on our Monogatari line there as well. Again, she was no longer bound by her past and bound by her name and bound by that truth within it, right? Her true name. She now made her fake name her true name, right? Her actions within the old home, her actions within being a Haibane outweighed her actions from before, outweighed the guilt from before and all that kind of stuff. She broke the curse, everything, it all... Again, somebody could probably write this down in a little bit more of a succinct manner and explain it better, but I'm feeling the feels. I'm feeling this. It's good. And again, in this final moment, Raka is able to push her out of the way. I thought that maybe Raka got clipped here and we were going to do a thing where Raka gave up her life for Reki. We ultimately didn't go that direction, which is nice. I like that we didn't have a character die. That's good. Well, die. You know what I mean. Oh yeah, and the kind of episode was personified by the clouds going in front of the moon, right? The light being kind of shielded, being stopped, and now the light comes back, the clouds dissipate, and this moment of darkness now ends. It only is like a truly hopeful ending. I really do like that we went a pretty what's the word? You couldn't mistake it for being, we didn't go melancholic. It's just like completely happy. You know what I mean? Unapologetically happy. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. Reki contemplates that potentially she's now been forgiven, this thing that she's wanted for however many years, this guilt, this everything is now subsided. I've gone through the same experience that Raka went through the middle of the show. My wings are now white. I'm a good Haibane, all these things. And yeah, the kind of thing, it repaired itself, and now Reki means small stone. If a bird brings you salvation, the name Reki will disappear, and the Reki that means stone will become your true name. So again, stone is an interesting metaphor as well, right? Because we went through the stone. The stone is unemotional, the stone is unmoving, the stone is all this stuff. It's a shell that I build around myself to stop anybody from getting close to the dark center, right? It's a shield. But there's also strength in stone. There's also, like, the wall is made of stone, you know? It's almost a microcosm of being scared of the wall and its power and disappointed and feeling trapped and then feeling the solace of the wall as well. There's a reinterpretation there of small stone and what that could represent, which I think is integral for Reki's ultimate happy ending here, right? She's, instead of changing the world around her, she's reinterpreting her worldview on it, right? Small stone itself used to be a curse, now it's a blessing, right? The wall itself used to be a curse, now I can see it as a blessing as well, right? These two exchange their final goodbyes, and we ask Raka to close her eyes. It's customary for a kind of Haibane on their day of flight to disappear without anybody noticing. And yeah, that was the last time we saw her ever again. She disappeared into the western woods, and we see the beam of light later on. Now, this is important for Raka, right? The day of flight for Ku was traumatic. It was the kind of... It was the impetus for depressive episode that existed for a very long time through the middle of the show, right? Her ultimately becoming okay with somebody else's death and somebody disappearing like this and passing on and that kind of stuff. That's character growth. And that's very important. That's very pronounced here. She now becomes appreciative of the cycle, appreciative of what this all means, not scared of everything that's going on, having been through it once before, even hearing Ku's laugh within the walls, that these people never really disappear, and the walls themselves are maybe a way that I can see them yet again. Yeah, very, very, very crucial piece of characterization is Raka's reaction here upon Reki's day of flight, because Reki's arguably closer to Raka than Ku ever was as well. This is a closer person, but I'm happily allowing them to pass on, right? I'm okay with my relationship with them. I've achieved peace. She freed herself from the curse. She was saved. She attained salvation from being nice to everybody. Now again, this was merely pretense to attain said salvation, yet it became her true nature. That fake, right? That thing that used to imprison me became the real, and in doing so, it saved me. It became... Yeah, there's definitely something to that. And this is almost like future stuff, what the communicator's talking about. When a day of flight comes, there is a stone staircase that the Haibane use. That stepping stone is also Reki. She's integral to the process now. Even though she's passed on, she's eternally helpful to everybody that comes after her, right? At helping them to attain whatever's next. Keeping that similar nature in the afterlife that she had during her actual life as well. The one who guides the weak there, of course. Now, of course, for Nemu, with Reki gone now as well, she can now attain her own day of flight. She can be happy with everything. She's been satisfied as well. Everybody says their final goodbyes, and it's way less sad than the Ku one. It's way nicer. It's good. We catch up with Abandoned Factory. Hyoko chooses not to look at the sky. I already have her reply. I don't need to look at her day of flight. And yeah, Hyoko seems pretty happy with this ending, with the little charm that he got, that to the point where he doesn't even want some lemon souffle that was made by Reki. What he doesn't understand here is it's a reciprocation of that similar feeling. They're both calling each other fools. They're calling each other idiots, right? That's what that yellow means. That's what the yellow of the lemon meringue means. Again, reciprocating that similar feeling. They always felt the same way about each other. That evening, all of us made our way to the Western Wood. We were able to say goodbye with a smile. Again, in contrast to the Ku situation. I've also noted, or haven't noted here, that the opening is also playing, which is, or the ending is playing. One of them's playing. Yeah, this is the ending playing. I'm stupid. Which is great. I love when shows do that. Then when they play one of the openings or the endings during the epilogue and that kind of thing, right? It just feels good. Again, this epilogue does feel a little bit snappy. Here we get to talking about when we went home, we had a meal, there was one empty chair, as well as the paintings left behind for us. Some of them were very dark, but there were also some that were very pretty. Again, experiencing the full kind of spectrum of Reki's talents, right? She wasn't just this one bad thing that she often kind of imprisoned herself with. She was so much more than that. And in thinking that this side was fake, she limited it, right? And she exacerbated her own suffering. Understanding that this and these paintings here were also a part of herself is a part to her salvation, is a part to her journey. That part which I considered fake becoming real. These paintings here serve as a reminder of Reki and how she truly loved this town and old home. Soon winter will come to an end. What is happening at the end of winter? It is of course spring, and when spring arrives, we'll have new cocoons and new Haibane. At that time, I'll need to take on the persona of a reliable senior Haibane, of course. I'll need to become the new Reki, of course, and maybe following in that kind of senpai direction that was kind of telegraphed from Ku as well, right? I'll need to take on that kind of Ku role as well. It's fun how that's kind of like that dual meaning. I become both Ku and Reki in the future. And yeah, we see a little sapling here, and even another one next to it. Again, both Reki and Ku there. And we get a final moment here of Raka being kind of ditzy and kind of dorky, and I like that that's fun as well, right? Like, this is big, and then losing the torch and falling down the stairs, and then, oh, the light happened again, that's good. And then, oh shit, I forgot that I'm actually running. It's great. She hasn't lost herself in all of this. She's still going to be that similar person. Also, the light of the torch is very loaded as well. As I add as a final statement here, because I think we're just about to end. Yeah, she runs off into the light. I will never forget Reki. And that's the final words of the show. Yeah. I think I kind of cooked. I don't know. I think I did okay there. I thought I was going to not be particularly insightful, but I think I got there. I think I said some good stuff there. I don't know. Again, as I've said previously during this segment, I want to see other people's interpretations as well. I'm really keen on doing so. because you guys, again, do that kind of stuff pretty well, in my opinion. I love this show. I think it's fantastic. You definitely got to be in a mood for it, I would say. It does... drag's the wrong word, but it's deliberate in its pacing. It's not something you can just throw on a whim, but if you do give it the focus it deserves, if you do take your time with it, if you do genuinely try to understand what it's all about, then you will find gold. There is a lot here. There's a lot here. And again, I think the characters of Reki and Rock are pretty masterful, if I'm honest. Everybody else, it's kind of whatever, but those two centrally, very good. I would recommend this show to basically anybody. Please watch this. Please recommend it to your friends, family, loved ones, even your enemies. They may get something out of it. I don't know. So yeah, I'll catch you next week for whatever's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be Goodbye Eri, we'll say. After that, there will be a poll. If you want to suggest things to the poll, I wouldn't say no. Requests for the channel on the Discord would be the best way to do that. But yeah, thanks for watching Haibane Renmei with me. It was very good, and I liked the support on the series too. You guys are pretty smart. You're pretty switched on. And yeah, I'll see you guys again in the future. Future stuff on the channel. Keep an eye on it. Subscribe, all that lame shit. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Bye. I like this show.